come around, charm. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our regular meeting. We're going to call it to order. What's the time?
5:01.
5:01. We're going to start with the moment of silence, followed by the pledge.
Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're open for public comment.
Public comment periods will be held at the beginning of scheduled meetings and limited to a maximum of 30 minutes. Each person desiring to speak shall clearly state their name and will have a maximum of 3 minutes to make his or her remarks. A speaker may not speak more than once during the same public comment period, and unused time may not be yielded to another speaker. To avoid repetition, groups of individuals who expect to have more similar comments are encouraged to select a spokesperson to speak on their behalf. Public comment is not intended to require the board to answer any impromptu questions. The board should refrain from engaging in dialogue except to the extent necessary to clarify the speaker's position. The board shall not entertain questions from the audience, and discussions between speakers and members of the audience shall be prohibited. Speakers shall maintain proper decorum and shall make their comments in a civil manner. Personal attacks and use of obscene and profane language are prohibited. Speaker comments should be limited to subjects that are within the board's jurisdiction. Action on items brought up during the public comment period will be at the discretion of the board.
Okay, we're now open. Anyone speak now, forever hold your peace.
Hello, Dana Vasquez, Springlink. I just wanted to comment on the discussion last month about judges, and I continue to maintain, as my colleague Marge has stated, that I do believe with 30,000 Republicans registered in Harnett County to 24,000 Democrats registered in Harnett County, that the judges should reflect the population of Harnett County, not the governor. Additionally, I want to make note that the RNC has issued a resolution regarding paper ballots and hand counting, and I have provided that to the members of the board that represent the Republican Party, and I'll be glad to pass that on to Claire so that the others can read that. But there are problems with the machines, and there's a lot of people who have found that to be a problem. And so this, as a party nationally, we are getting behind hand counting paper ballots. Thank you.
Next.
Rebecca Brock. Greetings, everyone. I'm looking forward to the logic and accuracy test tomorrow of the machines there at the warehouse. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, I'd like to know during this meeting how the voter ID has gone and how many you've put out and how the system is working. So I hope you do discuss that. I also would like to bring up the fact that I'd really like the absentee ballot for the municipals to be available to anyone who is getting a photo ID, because more than likely they are a marginalized population if they don't have a driver's license. Also, I would like to ask that, and I'm sure the Democrats and the Republicans would be happy to pay for this, is that they would be given 2 copies of their photo IDs so that they could use for mailing in the ballots for their municipal vote. I'd like this to be a standard procedure as we go into the primary as well, so that when someone comes in for a photo ID, they're giving an absentee ballot application as well as copies of their photo ID to include in on those mail-in ballots. Lastly, since the voter ID is coming up in the municipals, I think it'd be very smart to buy banners to put in front of the voting locations. You can get them banners on the cheap for like $40. And just put remember, bring your photo ID so that people don't get there and then forget. Sometimes they avoid us poll workers on the outside. Greeters, I should say. So anyway, just suggest that might be a very inexpensive way to remind voters here at the municipals as well as starting in the primaries. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Okay, public comment section is now closed. Now we can move on to the minutes.
Alright, so everybody has in front of them a copy of the minutes from August 22nd. These are the same that were emailed to you to review. If you haven't had a chance to review them yet, you can do that so now. If you are happy with them, then a motion to approve would be in order.
All right, and make the motion that the minutes to approve the meeting as presented.
Second.
I'll second.
I thought I heard a second.
Alright, I have a motion second on any discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So this is the copy to be signed.
Okay. Now we're gonna open, business, and first on business is recognition of award members. Claire?
So we had discussed in a previous meeting about recognizing former board members that had served. So we have two plaques here, one for Lynn Coker and one for Tony Spears, and I'll let, Tony is not here.
There he is.
Oh, there he is. He snuck in on me. So if you want to give him to him, then I can do some pictures. You can do it one at a time or however you want to do that.
Alright, so, I'm gonna read it. We'll start with Mrs. Spears, because he was the first to leave us.
Everybody say the same.
Okay, and his says, with our greatest appreciation to hereby honor Tony Spears and recognition of outstanding dedication and service to Harnett County and the Board of Elections, strong roots and new growth. So, Mr. Spears, would you grant us your privilege to stand in with the picture? Can we get all of those? Oh,
Take it out of frame.
sure. It's yours. It's
Can I
yours.
take it off?
But it might fall apart. It might fall apart.
Should we stand between the flags?
Yeah,
Yes.
uh-huh.
Bring him this. See, you had to be special and open the door, so.
It looks better.
Oh,
If
got
you
them
didn't-
over here. I was like,
Yeah.
yes, come over here. Okay. I gotta get between girls.
Oh.
We gotta space it out. Boy, girl. But that's what we can.
We don't have enough.
Well,
Yeah, we're outnumbered, Betsy.
we'll go on.
Thank you for your service.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Congratulations, Spears.
Thank you.
I'm supposed to stay there the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next we have the privilege of sharing our appreciation. It says the same thing, Lynn, so I'm not gonna read it again. But just wanna thank you for your service with us and you can open it too, since it looks good. Then we'll take it.
Test this.
I think Tony's was a trick, is to put on and get out. Yeah. Boy, you're already in the same place.
Good picture.
I'll get you. Oops.
All right, now we're gonna move on to election updates, Claire.
Alright, so a lot of what we had today is basically just information and updates to what's going on with the upcoming election. The first thing we have going on tomorrow at 9 a.m., we are doing our logic and accuracy testing. For those of you that may not be aware, need a refresher, that is when we actually will use the equipment that we're going to use for the October election, and we will run it through a test script. We create a test script using the ballots that are going to be used for the election. We mark them, and we know on our script what those totals should come out to be with that stack of ballots. We run them through all the machines and verify that the totals that come from the machine match that test script exactly. Again, this is a test script that we created, so the only people who know what the results of that script are the ones in the office that created the script. And that is just one of our accuracy testings to verify that the machines are tallying and counting accordingly. It is tomorrow at the warehouse at 420 McKinney Parkway. It is open to the public. I've already noticed the party chairs of the LNA. It is on our website, but I did also put on there, being that it's at the warehouse, we may be space limited. We don't usually have a big crowd, so we'll accommodate pretty much as many people as we can get in there. But if we get too many people, we may have to limit it to candidates, party people that, kind of prioritize it down depending on who shows up. It is not required for you guys to be there, but it is certainly something that you can come to. And I recommend, if you haven't seen it, to come, and that way you can see that firsthand. I know Mr. Bell, you've come before and witnessed the LNA testing. So again, that's open to any board members if you guys would like to be there.
And the address is 420.
420. So it's actually at this stop sign right here behind us. It's right there at that first building. And I don't think that'll last more than an hour or 2 hours. So if you get there at 12, you may be done. So I would suggest earlier rather than later. Because this is just for the October election. Once we get the ballots and coding for the November election, we'll do this again for the November election. It's required to do this prior to every election. Are there any questions about that?
Yeah. Do we have any representatives of the machines, manufacturers there?
No, they don't come out for the LNA stuff.
Okay, do they submit documentation for us to refer to?
Documentation as far
How the
as,
machines operate, if there have been any changes from the last time, and what to look for?
so when they go through the certification process, they submit all that documentation, and they're not allowed to change anything with the voting machines without going through the certification process. So there is no change with the machines from one election to the other as far as like programming and how it works of that nature. If they did make any changes, they'd have to go through the certification process again.
And do we know when the date of the last certification was?
I don't know it off the top of my head, but I can get you that information.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So then, the LNA testing, what we do is we run all the ballots of the machines, we get all the data, we make sure the numbers match. And so on Thursday, September 7th at 10, we'll have our mock election. Now, since the mock election is us uploading that test data to verify that everything on our end, as well as the state board equipment, is working as far as reporting results. Now, since that's in the office on our security computer, that is not open to the public. However, if the board wants to come and watch that process, you are more than welcome to come and watch that process. So essentially what we're doing is we're mimicking what we would do on election night, uploading and releasing the results and verifying that the results do not change or not edited somehow in that process. And then also just verifying that the process works. Every county that's having an election is participating at the same date and time, and that way the state board can replicate the amount of data that they're pulling at that time. So basically, it's just testing the system.
What time did you say that?
It'll be at 10 o'clock
10 o'clock.
in our office. Any questions about that? And again, if you've not seen that, feel free to come out and watch that process as well. Friday, September 8th, absentee voting begins for the Dunn and Irwin election. Currently, we only have 8 ballots that are set up to be mailed on Friday. And with that, depending on the turnaround, we may not have ballots back in by next Tuesday. And Tuesday is our scheduled absentee meeting. We have to have 5 prior to the election per statute. But if we don't have any ballots, there's no business to meet. So just look out for an email from me Monday night, Tuesday morning. We may have to end up just canceling that meeting.
Just be on our toes.
Be on your toes. Mm-hmm.
And that's, okay.
And let me make one other note as far as absentee voting, just to address some of the things that Rebecca had asked. I have reached out to the state legal about whether or not the parties can pay for copies. Rebecca's suggestion is a good suggestion that anybody who wants a photo ID receive a couple copies of those. That way they have them on their person if they request an absentee ballot. But with the parties giving us money and then one party over another party, they're just wanting to check all the legalities on that. So that is something that I have looked into. And anybody that does come in to get a photo ID, we have our absentee request forms in the office, so they can pick one up for that as well.
So
And
right
they
now
can
we're
even complete
giving,
it there.
right now we're giving one ID, is that what you're?
They just get one ID, and what Rebecca was suggesting was us making a photocopy of the ID, so that when they go home, they have their photo ID, but they also have a photocopy to insert into the absentee ballot.
Gotcha.
But absentee requests are available in our office. Anybody who has come in, we've only had 4 so far that we've printed photo IDs, and we have already discussed with them about absentee voting. I think all of them except for one needed it for a reason, but that's fine. They don't have to have a reason. If they want one, they want one. But they all had given the indication that they were going to vote in person during early voting.
So are you allowed to make copies for people? Is that what you're saying or not?
I can make copies, but we have to charge them per page, just like if they came to the library to make a copy, 10 cents a page. And Rebecca had offered that the party could possibly pay that fee for them. But again, I'm just going through legal to verify the.
Or can we just put that in our budget? Can we put X number of dollars in our budget for copies?
That would be something, again, I'd have to go through the county and county legal, just because the fact that if we're paying for somebody's copies for their ID, that somebody else needs a copy for something else, I mean, we just need to make sure we're doing it fairly across the board. Somebody else comes in and wants a copy of something and charge them 10 cents, and then I just want to make sure that we're doing it right, so I want to just clear it all through legal first.
Claire, there's been some concern about the clarity of the ID, how it looks. Have we we get some upgrading in our equipment to make sure that at least a reasonable quality
Yes,
that you can
so
visually say?
in our office, we have a big window at the front, so it does make the lighting an issue. If we have them stand to the wall and move the camera and the lighting, we can get a good picture. I know the ID that you're talking about, and I did offer to make them another one. They did not want another one.
They did not want to know.
No.
Claire, I have a problem with either party paying for these. If there's another source or something, or the board or whatever, but I don't like the parties. If they wanna do that, do it ahead of time, but not in the office.
And that's, again, why I'm reaching out to legal to make sure that we're doing everything as openly and fairly as possible.
So what would the actual cost be on, just 10 cents a copy
10
maybe?
cents a page.
Or if they did the national ID, what would it cost?
The ID's free.
Yeah, well, I'm saying if we gave them a second copy of their ID, we couldn't do that? Can't like
No,
do
because
it
for,
twice?
to request an absentee ballot, they have to put a copy of their ID in there. They're not supposed to put the original ID in that.
I mean, if I go and have, I say, okay, I'd like just, can you do it again? And I give you one, I keep one, I take one, what is the cost of that?
There's only certain reasons that a person can get a replacement, but a replacement is free.
Replacement's for a
If they lost
replacement.
it or something.
Well,
Yeah,
but-
if it's lost or defaced, or there's certain reasons that we can do a replacement.
If they wanted a copy made from a quality copier,
Mm-hmm.
what's the cost on that?
10 cents a page.
Would it be that many copies, think that we couldn't absorb it, with the current budget we have?
Again, this is county money it's not like, we have to get the county okay before we can budget something like that, because again, that's what I'm saying, if somebody comes in and they want a copy of their ID for absentees and we charge them 10 cents, or they come in, they want a copy for something else and we don't charge them, we just want to make sure we're doing it fairly across the board. So until I get clarification from legal, I'm not going to tell somebody that the county is going to cover the cost if that's not something the county is okay with.
When do you anticipate a response?
I don't know. Legal, I mean, like I said, I could reach out to them, daily until I get a response, but until they can sit and review it.
Can you ask the state board of elections if there's any problem with us? Just-
And that's where I went to the state. I've already gone to the state. I'm waiting on them to reply as far as that. But as far as using county funds, I need to talk to county, and I have not talked to county yet.
What about the banner issue?
So the banner is something that we could potentially do. I know that the state board has already drafted posters for us to post at all the voting sites. So we will have photo ID signs, not banners, but signs that will post out on the walls and stuff out there.
Well, would
Is
be
there
a-
anything we can put in the parking lot so that when people leave their car,
Mm-hmm.
they
Yeah,
can take
we
care of it?
have some metal brackets from other signs that we could use. But we do have signs from the state that will apply there. And then if we feel that we need to do the banners, we can see how they want the wording or the design layout for a banner.
Okay.
But that's definitely an option.
That's on the, of course, I guess we're talking about public information, banners and all. I spoke with the Daily Record, and I have been talking some time about, or we have been discussing about getting the word out, advertisement, billboards, the newsprint.
Mm-hmm.
Spoke with the Daily Record and informed me that on their Daily Digest page, where they announced the county board of commissioners meeting for each county, and then of course board of adjustment, so on and so on. The reason they have not, we don't see anything about the board of election is that no one has submitted anything for to be placed here. It just doesn't cost anything. All they're asking, if you will submit it, or anyone will submit it within 2 weeks of the monthly meeting, they will put it in. They'll put it on and involve it.
Yeah.
Same thing with the local radio station.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have a PSA segment that they would put anything that we wanted to get out that'd be of public interest. And but both of them, both entities said they would be more than delighted to have this information, that we have voter IDs available here at the county as opposed to DMV because you have the backlog they
Yeah.
have. So, I don't know how we could proceed with this about doing more information through these media outlets to let folks know
Yeah.
that we've got stuff we need here.
Yeah, we certainly can and will. We have plans to do that. We just haven't had a chance to reach out to them yet. I mean, I hate to sound like a lot of other county departments when I talk about being short-staffed, but that's definitely something that we have listed out on our agenda of things to do, is to reach out to the radio, the news, and the Daily Record. We have our legal notices have gone out in the Daily Record already. We just haven't gotten a chance to get the photo ID stuff in there yet.
If you write it up, or someone in the staff got time to just write up what we're gonna do, I'll get it to them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I do business with them, well, anyway, I have means of reaching out to them.
Yeah, no, we do too, because we just have to get it out there. But it's definitely on our list. We have everything that I told you guys about as far as advertising, we still have all that going.
And this month,
So let's
Election again.
recap, so Daily Record, and is this a local radio station?
yes, WCKB,
The bigger ones charge though,
not for PSA,
for PSA, so you can.
just public service now. Community announcement, things that are going on. There's several media outlets in our region that are actually talking about this.
Yeah.
We
And
just don't
that's
have anything
already
local in
gone
Harnett
out.
County.
It's already gone out to social media. It's already been out in the water bills. It's already on our website, and I know the state board has done some public outreach as well with the advertising. We just haven't specifically gotten the flyers to the Daily Record yet, or the radio stations.
You need someone to create it.
No, it's not something we would create it. We just need to get it in a format from the state board for the paper and just get it to them. And that's something I could definitely have it done within the week.
What kind of format are we looking for from the state board?
Their wordage, we wanna make sure we use their
The
wordage. We can't just create our own wording, we gotta make sure, again, because of legal, we need to use the wordage that they have like on their site and in their flyers as well.
How long would it take to reach out to somebody to get that?
I can have it done within the week.
Okay, good. Can I get a copy? Okay, thank you.
And just email
Any other questions about absentee voting?
Well, I just had another question before Mr. Bell. So you said larger radio stations will do a PSA for free?
PSA,
So we could share that?
we can
with
share that. Especially those broadcasters that broadcast in our area. PSAs are pretty much community calendars.
And what about Spectrum TV?
Spectrum TV?
Yeah.
I don't know about that one, because that's usually paid, because it's cable, but the broadcast.
But they do a lot of local, I mean.
Yeah, cable TV has different rules for the SCC and the FTC than your broadcast, your networks, because that's free, that's airtime, nobody's paid for that. Cable, and they're not regulated by the FCC or FTC. These are just airways things that anybody with a wattage, small wattage, I don't know, 5,000 to whatever can just do that for us.
So within the week?
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways to get advertising out there, and for what we do, it would, I think it would be, it would be a good thing.
Are you saying for our regular meetings to put it in that calendar too? We
Just when we're gonna meet,
Right.
yeah, Board of Commission right here, Johnson County Board of Commission meeting September. And if you have any concerns, Harnett County Board of Commissioners is on Tuesdays. Central Carolina Personnel Committee meetings, just a daily address. And they tell me it's absolutely free. They just need someone to pick up the phone and call them.
Well, I'll reach out to
I mean, you don't have to put your agenda, but just announce when the meeting is.
Mhm.
And that voter IDs can be obtained, laissez-passer.
Any other questions about absentee voting? All right, so election worker training is coming up as well. So we've been getting ready for that and getting election workers contacted and called, which has been really fun this time around because everybody's still on vacation. So I think we're getting a good number of replies back in for election worker training. September 14th and 15th are the dates. They start both days at 9, 1, and 6, so we have 3 a day for the 2 days. And the 14th at 6, the 15th at 1, those are our designated judge trainings. Again, the board is not required to be at these trainings, but if you want to come out and see the poll workers or just sit through the training to see what's all involved in the training, feel free to come out to one, all, or whatever your schedule allows for. But again, that's for September 14th and 15th.
So there are 3 sessions each day.
Each day.
But the 6th, on the 14th, the one at 6, and on the 15th, the one at 1, those are for the
Those are
judges.
designated
Okay.
judges. Mhm.
Right.
Yes.
Can you send that to us in an email,
I can do that.
please?
And then early voting begins September 21st. So, I mean, we're moving right along with everything. That will be over at the Commons area. And again, this is for Dunn and Irwin election. We've reached out with facilities and I've already got things set up to get everything moved and set up there. So we are right where we should be as far as being ready for this election. Again, the Commons area is right over here, and that will begin at 8 o'clock on the 21st.
I'm sure it's not gonna be as much of an issue with municipals, but as far as electioneering, we
Yeah.
got the clear parameters.
Yeah, we're gonna have some clear parameters out there, and then being that it's going to be just the one location, I have recommended to my staff too that at least every day that somebody can come in and out and just check on them, make sure everything's smoothing. Especially since we're gonna have the voter ID, just to make sure that that's being done properly, that the poll workers saying what they should be saying, asking what they should be asking. So we're gonna really be hands-on for this early voting period.
Claire, what are the hours on the early voting? I know we talked about it, but
So it's Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And that last Saturday, look at the date, November 4th.
October 7th. October 7th.
I was like, that didn't sound right.
November 4th.
Yeah, I was like, that didn't sound right. Yeah,
Saturday, so.
yeah, my phone's freaking out. So that last Saturday is 8 to 3, and that's the statute time that we have to be open.
But are we having it on the 30th and the 23rd also?
Mm-mm.
No Saturday voting on those two?
No, just that last Saturday. Because what we went with was the basic minimum, since
Minimum.
we don't have, like I said, the most we've ever had vote early was like 95. We've never had over 100 people come vote early.
Okay.
So I imagine it's going to be slow, the turnout's going to be low, especially since it's just done in Irwin. Typically, a lot of the municipals, they want to vote on election day because that's when they see their neighbors and their friends. So we don't really see a lot of turnout with early voting. And even absentee by mail is probably going to be light for these municipals.
election worker training in here?
In here, yes, it'll be in this building, in this room. Any other questions?
Yeah, that training is mandatory for workers.
It is. They cannot work the election unless they come to training.
Are there any testing after the lessons to see if they got it or not?
So what we've done in the past,
Election
we've done
day.
pop quiz type things. But testing, just to see, I mean, no, we don't do a lot of testing. Simply because it's hard enough as is to find election workers, and if we throw a test in there, we tend to lose more. But we do tend to ask questions, like pop questions, kind of like throughout the training to make sure that everybody's on the same page. And then when we train, we usually have at least 2 staff there, so one person's at the front and somebody else is walking around trying to help people who are, especially on the laptops, maybe struggling or have more questions. And then we're always available after every training for help for questions.
Okay, and the workers are selected from, I assume, for some list that's been accumulated? How do we get that list? of
Correct.
workers?
So our election workers, we have a few that have worked the last 10, 15 years, so they just come back every election. The party chairs will sometimes give us a list of assistants and we'll add them to it. And then some of it's just from just advertising, putting it out there that we're looking for election workers. When we go to the town festivals to do our registration drives, we also recruit poll workers at that time as well. So we'll basically, however they come to us, we will take them in.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? That is pretty much all I have. I do have just one last quick update. We will be working the Myrtle Festival. We'll have a table there, so we'll have registration forms and photo ID information there at the festival. The county didn't have a table until today because they're apparently, they booked up really early on their registration at the festival, and today they had a table open up, so Harnett County was able to slip into one of them.
When is that?
It is Saturday. I think it's
This-
10 to 3.
this
Yeah, this
Saturday?
coming Saturday. So we'll be out there. So if you're in Andrew, come by and say hi. It is. That's all I have.
That's it, the meeting is adjourned.
Now we need a motion.
I moved it, but
There you go.
I'll second.
All right. We have a motion and a
Didn't take that
second.
long.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Meeting adjourned.